Hi everyone, it is the day 2 at the World Conference for Science Journalists, and it's a lot happening around this area. And now I'm at the exhibition area of the Swiss Tech Convention Center, a beautiful building. And now I'm at the booth of the International Atomic Energy Association, agency, sorry. So here with me, Mr. Eham Everensel, hope I pronounce it correctly.
Yes.
To talk about what is this agency and what does it do?
So we are a 62-year-old world body that tries to have the member states cooperate in anything nuclear. So we're the world's hub for exchange of information and expertise in nuclear technologies. When I say nuclear technologies, it's a vast area. You can use it for human health, as in cancer therapy or cancer diagnosis. You can use it for animal health, as in fighting mosquitoes. You can use it in industry, as in checking the welding of long pipes, or you can use it in nuclear power to generate electricity. And that's where my area is. So we share experiences among the countries. We do peer reviews that the member states use nuclear technologies safely, securely, but also sustainably. So the investment they put into any nuclear technology really brings the return to them.
Okay, so when you talk about climate change, there's a huge debate going on about the climate change and the role, the sources of climate change, and the role the people play on mitigation part. And so, what is the part the nuclear power generation can play in this climate change mitigation?
It actually already has been playing a huge role in the sense of avoided emissions. Since 1970s, people have done the studies of nuclear power generation, how much it avoided emissions. This means if nuclear power generation was not there, almost 100% of that energy gap would have been filled through coal. So we have already assisted the world, the nuclear power generation assisted the world to save a lot of emissions. And it continues to do so. Today, in today's picture, we have 449 nuclear power reactors across the world in 30 countries, and it basically gives about 10% of the world's electricity. So this is overall world electricity production, but when it comes to low carbon electricity production, the nuclear power provides a third of the world's low power generation, low carbon electricity generation. This is a huge number. Is that enough? It's not. Because the International Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, the IPCC, has issued last October a massive report where they said if we want to reach 1.5 degree scenario by mid-century or by end of the century, there is no way we can achieve that with the current energy share. And for that, even in their 4 different scenarios, the worst case scenario and the best case scenario, nuclear power generation must increase. So nuclear power, being a low carbon source, in lifetime emissions comparable to solar and wind, way below anything else, way below gas and carbon capturing together, has a lot to offer to the world in terms of preventing the emissions.
Okay, so the nuclear energy generation plays a greater part in controlling the carbon emissions. Being an island nation and a small country, how this nuclear power generation can benefit a country like Sri Lanka?
Yeah. In nuclear power infrastructure development, as what we call the newcomers, when they come and ask us, I want to install nuclear power, how do I do it? What we do is we help the countries understand their own situation. So we have energy modeling tools that help any country. This could be an island country. This could be a far remote North Pole country. This could be a very small grid country with a smaller population. Our energy modeling tools help those countries assess their own situation. You enter the data, you enter your population projection, you enter your energy projection, and then you come up with a figure of 2050, let's say, how your energy cake would best look like. And then it's up to the country itself to decide whether to go nuclear or not. But once you decide to go nuclear, then we assist the countries to do it right, to do it safely, to do it securely, and to do it sustainably. In that, there are new technologies coming. The majority of the current nuclear power plants are big, bulky, 1,000 megawatt, 1,200, 1,400 megawatt reactors. But there is something called small modular reactors coming up in the market. There are lots of interesting projects. Over 50 designs are currently under work or under construction, some of them. So these SMRs, the small modular reactors, could be good for archipelago, could be good for islands, could be good for remote areas where smaller populations live, removed from the main electricity grid, as in northern countries, in Siberia, in Canada, or in parts of Africa. So there are new things coming up, and the country will find it itself how best, which technology best to achieve. But again, nuclear is not necessarily for everyone, but if you decide on that technology, then we will help you to build up the necessary infrastructure, to build up the necessary human resources infrastructure and the safety infrastructure, and also to do it again financially viable, that you get your investment return in over the long term. The one thing about nuclear power generation is once you install a power plant somewhere, it is upfront a bit costly, quite costly when you compare to other smaller grid, smaller amount, smaller volume power plants. But after about 10-15 years, the cost is depleted, and for about the next 40 years, you have pure revenues. So it's a very long-term project, but it helps a lot of countries in reducing their emissions already.
Wow, great. Great to hear that. When you talk about those smaller modular reactors, are they like there's something that we use that are being used in those huge nuclear powered ships?
There is actually just recently the first nuclear floating small reactor went on the seas just very recently. So there are also ideas on this. There are countries working on more of them. These could be an idea. We're not saying this is the solution, but there are many solutions to issues. So one of the solutions could be like this, that you take this barge powered with a reactor onto a port, and that basically provides electricity to that town or to that area, and after a few years you basically change the whole barge. There is no fuel loading on that site, and this is one of the solutions.
No oil just discharges?
It will be refueled back at the country of origin, so it will be shipped back.
Yeah, great. Okay, to wind up our talk, let's talk about the conference that you can have in upcoming months.
Yes, in October, the IAEA is holding its first conference ever on exactly the role of nuclear power in mitigating climate change. Because there's a lot of talk about, is this part of the solution, is it not? Well, we need all kinds of low carbon technologies to be able to reach the Paris Agreement targets. And the IPCC came very harsh. The International Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change came very harsh very recently on that, saying if we go ahead the current way of producing electricity, there's no way we will reach the Paris Agreement targets. And to be able to do that, we suggest, the science suggests, nuclear power has a role in this. And so we are bringing lots of people from the outside as well, from the IPCC, which is not pro-nuclear at all. It's a panel of climate scientists who suggest that nuclear power has a role. So we're bringing them on board, we're bringing experts from the member states on board, develop nations together, and to discuss what role should it have, what role can it have. So in October, I hope science journalists follow us for that conference.
For sure. We'll be try to follow us, and we'll cover up the entire conference from wherever we are. And so thank you very much, Ayhan.
Thank you, Cecilia.
So we'll meet again. Till then, thank you very much, and see you again.